Hey there, and welcome. Today we've got a really wonderful story for you. It's called The Brave Little Sparrow.
And this story, it asks a really big question. Can the smallest, tiniest bit of courage actually cause the biggest change? You know what? Let's find out together. Okay, so picture this. Our story starts in what seems like a perfect world, right? We're in this beautiful green forest, a peaceful home. But something terrible is about to happen.
And this is where we meet our hero. In this very forest, with all these huge trees and big, mighty creatures, there lived a tiny little sparrow. Her name was Chicky.
But that peace, well, it didn't last. One summer, a massive wildfire broke out, and it spread so fast. It was just chaos. All the animals started to panic, running for their lives. But right in the middle of all that fear and confusion, something amazing happens. A tiny little spark of hope appears, and it's all because of Chicky's incredible determination.
So while everyone else is running away, Chicky's little voice chirps out with this huge power, saying, "We have to do something."
You'd think they'd listen, right? But the reaction wasn't what she hoped for. The big animals, the elephants, the bears, the deer, they just stopped, looked down at this tiny sparrow, and they laughed.
Yeah, they just scoffed at her. They said, "You? You're way too small." They just couldn't imagine how someone so tiny could possibly do anything against a fire so big and scary. But did Chicky listen? No way. She didn't let their doubts stop her for a second. She just ignored them, flew right to the river, dipped her tiny little wings in the cool water, and then flew back to that raging fire to sprinkle just a few drops on the flames.
Now, it probably seemed hopeless, right? But she went back, and she did it again. And again. Just imagine her flying back and forth, this tiny, determined little bird against a giant wall of fire.
So, a deer who's watching her do all this work, he shouts what pretty much everyone else was thinking. "This won't help." It was that voice of just wanting to give up.
But Chicky, she didn't even argue. She just said, "Maybe not, but at least I'm trying." And wow, those words are so important, aren't they? It's the trying that matters, not whether you know for sure you'll succeed. And right then, in that moment, something changed. It was like her amazing courage was noticed by something much bigger than the animals in the forest. Way up high, the clouds started to rumble. Then, boom, a huge crack of thunder just echoes through the whole valley. And then, it started. Rain just poured down from the sky, buckets of it, hammering down on the fire, hissing on the hot embers, until finally, the huge fire was gone, completely out. The forest was saved, and all the animals, they gathered around this little sparrow, just amazed. Even the lion, the king of the forest, he bowed his head and said, "Chicky, you saved us." Bravery doesn't depend on size at all. Wow, what a powerful lesson, right? So this story is actually a classic folktale from India. And to really get the world it comes from, let's explore a few really cool things about its home. First up, think about a place called the Valley of Flowers in Uttarakhand. People say it's like a magical carpet of colorful flowers hidden way up in the Himalayas. It totally feels like the kind of enchanted forest Chicky would live in, doesn't it? And speaking of determination, creating something huge, India is also home to the world's highest rail bridge. It's called the Chenab Bridge. It is an incredible piece of engineering that, kind of like Chicky's effort, shows how if you just don't give up, you can do something that seems totally impossible. And this all connects back to something really important about the culture there. Indian folktales very often use animals to teach big life lessons. So Chicky the sparrow wasn't just a bird in a story, you see. She was a teacher, showing all of us what real bravery is all about. And that just about wraps up the story of our brave little sparrow. But hey, before we go, I've got a little clue for you about the story we're going to explore next time. Okay, let's see. A merchant, a donkey, and a salty surprise. Any ideas? Well, you'll have to join us next time to find out what that's all about. And finally, I want to leave you with one last question, inspired by our tiny hero. After hearing Chicky's story, what's one small act of bravery that you can do today? Thanks so much for joining us.